5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, I'm Messinac.
I'm Eljay.
I'm Kahi.
And I'm Temporary Invictus.
And this is TTV, episode 48. We're actually recording this like a bit later than normal due to like some issues which came up, and that is playing Halo 4. Cause Maine borrowed it from a friend.
For a couple hours.
Yeah,
that was fun times with the crew.
Postponing the recording for 3 hours to get to play with them, who never gets to play it, was a fair trade.
I wouldn't say never gets to play it. I did play it on Tuesday and Saturday.
Yeah, that is very true. I guess I should have rephrased, because it's like you don't actually own the game, but you have gotten to play it a significant bit. You're more than halfway through the ranks, yet you don't have the game.
Yes. It's about 7.5 hours clocked on multiplayer.
Yeah. So okay. Not further ado, how's life and such, guys?
It's interesting and such.
Why is it interesting? Well,
Because I have a bunch of comics I need to make. And no time to make them.
you have time to make them. You could like one. Okay. Also, here's how.
Yeah, you're homeschooled.
Here's how this would go.
Good point.
Here's how this would go. One of
Ah,
these days, when we're playing Halo 4, and I'm like, "Hey, Eldred, wanna play Halo 4?" You're like, "No, Meso, I think I need to work. I think I need to
It
work
ain't
on
gonna happen.
comics."
That is true. I suppose I can do that at some point, but you see, Meso, I've been keeping up a streak of making comics when the times be tough. And you see, Kahi here has also been keeping up a streak of not making comics at all. While all he does is boast about how great his comics are when they don't get made.
Speaking of which, Kai, how's Live, Learn, and Lawsuit?
It's doing very well. I feel like I'm the Avengers of the comics form, in which I made one movie that can carry me through for a couple years until the sequels come out next year.
Except for the fact that no one's posting your comic topics since... Let's see here. Because I'm stalling right now as it loads. Let's see here. No one's posting your comic topics since October 10th. And that one post was you.
Mm-hmm. Let me see. How many people have posted in your topic again?
A lot of people. And recently,
Let's-
because I release comics, unlike you.
Oh, if only they were
posters.
any good. Let's see.
People
Where-
like them.
What do we have?
So, how many unique posters are visiting your comics?
Who, mine?
34 replies for L Becoming, and what's First Lazy Life.
And about 3 unique people are posting every time?
Wait, and whose comics?
Yours, as in there's only the same group posting over and over.
Let me guess.
One of them isn't you, Mr. I'll make comics when I feel like it.
Meso, Venom, and I don't know who that third one would be.
Cyber.
Cyber.
Yes, Cyber.
Cyber's an interesting person.
LJ has the trio of dedicated fans.
You have nothing, guy. You have nothing.
Let me see.
Oh.
When did you? No one saw us time. I can't even find Spriteful Afghan comics are gone too.
Debate,
That's good.
Anyway,
debate
let us-
corner, popularity. No.
yeah,
That
debate corner.
implies there
Who
is a debate.
No, debate corner. Who actually won in the first comic making duel? Oh wait, me.
That seems to have been a very interesting duel.
It was an interesting duel because Eljay won because he made the most comics, aka quantity. But
who
I
has
won
the
because I
least
made the
life?
best comics. Because
Technically, you did not win because you made the best comics. Mine were of a higher graphical standard from my usual ones. So technically, mine were of a fair graphical standard. Besides, yours were like small. Yours got messed up. So, anyway, we can't even do duels anymore because yesterday I checked out the BZPower comics rules and guidelines because I was bored, and I saw this little bit here. Do not start contests or games.
What?
Sorry, that's the staff's burden here.
What? What the heck?
I wasn't gonna be in another duel anyway because that is an extraordinarily life-taxing task. So, but still, no more duels, guys.
That's
Sorry.
absurd.
I don't know. Does it actually count as a contest? If it's like
Yes, it does.
I don't know, because
It
it's
does.
basically it's a personal record. It's just two people competing for the same personal record. Technically,
You
it's
mean
not like
contest.
no. See,
Well-
a contest would be like like something of either voting or something that's being. Well, I guess it's sort of like
It doesn't matter, whatever it would be called. I'd win anyway. Like the last contest I entered. Oh wait, you didn't enter that, so it doesn't count. So never mind.
it doesn't.
I'm gonna look
Speaking
up
of
the
which-
definition
I
of contest.
Okay. I don't see how it's life taxing because if you have 0 life, it doesn't matter what the tax percent is of your life, it's still going to end up
No,
That
being
is
no,
zero.
zero.
Being
not
taxed.
12. 12% of 0 is still 0.
No, not that life. I mean, physically, they're extremely exhausting. Because the first duel with Kahi, I got up at like 6 in the morning. I sleepwalked, ready for the duel. And then I realized, oh wait, this is 6 in the morning. I'm going back to sleep, stupid. And then I get up at an unusually early time and like panic myself all day making comics, ending up at 17. Then with the second duel, which lasted a week, I stayed up like nights
Dude,
without sleep.
I don't believe I was good friends with you at the start of the first comic duel, but I was there on Skype for the second one. And boy, I'm not sure how it was for Filbert, but you were in a pretty bad way.
Yeah, so they are extraordinarily taxing. But in the end, I won both. So, you know, I guess you could say I'm bowing out at the top of my game.
Speaking of which, if the top of your game is like half the amount of popularity I have, that sounds about right.
I don't have half the amount of popularity you have.
You started
here,
you
you know
posted
what?
your
You know what?
topic the day after I did mine. 150
You know-
replies, Lazy Eye for Comic Maker. 326 replies, delivered in the lawsuits.
We're gonna settle this right here and now. Listen, in the comments, tell us which one you like better. Do you like me or Kahi? That's it. You're going down, Kahi, Palo, Boyle.
It's the comics. Lazy Life
Yeah,
of Comic Maker
we have
3.0 or Live Learn in the Lawsuits revived. We're both on our third season. Tell us which one is the better one.
Yeah. And don't worry, I won't hold any grudges if you choose him. It's okay. I'll only mutilate your family a little bit.
Only a little. And I will link both in the description for your viewing pleasure. They're both really good quality comics. It's a better way to spend your time than some of the other stuff out there. But,
Yeah, link
That
like,
is
both
true.
of my comics.
well, I don't think that. Well, yeah, I will link Elton coming. It needs all the exposure it can get.
Oh, speaking of which, yeah, Foresight. Link Foresight. Because
Okay, fine.
I like to see...
It was never finished. That doesn't count.
LG's Becoming isn't finished.
So it's in progress. I'm releasing comics.
Foresight
for that.
is in progress.
I'm still working on mine.
I am still working on mine too.
Are you?
Oh, right.
like I'm working on as much as LJ is. Unless LJ has that document open up right now, which I'll freely admit I don't have that document open in Photoshop like right now at this minute. But I have been
No.
working on it.
I'm working on my Thanksgiving comic.
I'm actually working on my Christmas one because
You-
I realized,
But
you
it's
know,
not even Thanksgiving yet.
No, I just remembered, Kahi, we had this personal duel. Which one of us could, we were like, okay, Kahi, it's the third duel. Which one of us can make a Thanksgiving comic at all? And you were
no,
like,
we're doing Christmas.
No,
It's like
Thanksgiving.
no, it's Christmas.
No, it was Thanksgiving.
It was.
We were talking.
It was
Which holiday is closer, Christmas or Thanksgiving? It's Thanksgiving. Of course,
Halloween.
it's Thanksgiving.
What was it Halloween? No, I think we came after Halloween.
Yeah, it was after
I
Halloween.
do remember saying Christmas because we would both have to actually do a Christmas comic because I don't
Of course,
usually do
we're
Thanksgiving
gonna make
comics.
a comic.
No, I said before I don't do Thanksgiving comics because it makes no sense for me. Teo Nui was not founded by the Pilgrims, and there were no Indians, there were no turkeys.
That's why
there were-
it's a holiday comic. It's a special one. And besides,
Yeah, I know,
we're
but
not-
it just makes no sense for them to celebrate Thanksgiving because there's no like.
That's why that's the point of alternate universes and non-canon comics.
So I'm,
It's like-
I'm gonna derail you guys for a second here. Except I guess it's not derailing because you're doing all the derailing. I'm gonna rail you guys back on track.
Re-rail.
Re-rail.
them.
Re-rail. Okay. All right.
Okay. So now that we've gotten the topic of how everyone's life is out of the way, let's move on to our first segment, the news.
Before I'd just like to say one last thing.
Final.
This Christmas, the greatest comic of all time. We will link both our Christmas comics once they are made in the description for the TTV, TTV Christmas special or whatever we're doing that year. You guys tell us in the comments which one is better. Decide first once and for all.
Oh, bring it on, Paolo.
Yes, we shall. Okay. So
All right,
now
let's actually
move
get
on
back
to
on
our
track.
first segment, the news. In the news this week, we have Earthbound Lego robot controlled from space, revamped Lego message boards, new additions to the Lego movie cast, Unveiling the BZPower tracker, Greg Farshtey answers fan questions, and Legends of Chima Constraction figure revealed. And that is the news. Let's bring the commentary, guys.
Commentary here.
Yep.
Okay. Earthbound Lego robot controlled from space.
Could
That's
care less.
I found it quite interesting, actually. Reading it. I know the proper term is I couldn't care less. To say you could care less implies you care.
Yeah, I do. No, I do care. Enough to say this much.
And what will undoubtedly pave the way for robotic invasions of extraterrestrial moons and planets, a scientist working with NASA and the European Space Agency aboard the International Space Station has successfully controlled a Lego robot on Earth. That's, yeah, the Mindstorm's NXT robot hero.
I mean, like, I guess that's great, but like, there's a lot more stuff you could be doing in that space station. We already know you can control Lego robots, and like having a Bluetooth signal that goes all the way up to space. That's cool.
Yeah, it was,
I don't know,
it was a test for the internet-like transmissions across the
internet
of
transmission
space.
void space. I mean, okay,
Yeah.
do it. That's I can commend them from that. It's kind of cool that Legos. But it's just not
Kind of
really.
strange, waste of time.
Yeah, it's like it's not all too impressive. It could be a lot more impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not really much to say on that, Mange. What do you think?
About the robot?
Yes.
I don't really know what to think, if it was important or not in this experiment.
Yeah. I don't really know what to think either. I just felt like lumping it in there. Now we'll go on to something obviously more groundbreaking, the revamped Lego message boards.
I'll have
Right.
to say this. The Lego message boards look a bit more customized than the BZPower message boards. Like,
Yeah.
BZPower, it's like generic, like the default Envision Board 3 skin. And they have, it's blue. And it has a Hopori Tohu banner up in front. That's really, that's
Yeah.
really it. Like, there's not much more.
They do kind of look a bit better. Just like, okay, I haven't been on the Lego message boards in forever. I'm going to go on the Hero Factory forum, and I'm going to read the top 4 topics.
Good grief.
This is gonna be great.
First topic: is Hero Factory's storyline better than the Bionicle storyline?
What the Carzani?
I think that the HF story is a lot better. What do you think?
I think you're stupid.
I think the heroes carry a net amount of depth and complexity to them. The way the protagonist versus protagonist conflicts play out, and the villains are so multi-layered, and no, it's crap.
I take that
no.
back. I take
No.
that back. Kahi, I think you're stupid.
I like this reply. The guy is like, no, 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 no. If Lego Company wanted to be like HF more, have Mr. Makuhiro, he got the name wrong, be an Agori or Matoran or a mix between the two. Like have Makuhiro be a Bionicle and Baramagna exploded and he was the only one to survive.
Okay. Okay, so basically, like, all you need to do to make the Hero Factory better is just say, this person's a Bionicle. And suddenly, like, the story is added all these complexity and plotline.
Oh.
And he
Nice.
That's all that's needed.
and he got the Mask of Life along with him because evil dudes, a bad guy I thought up, invaded. Wait,
Even really, really.
invaded Baramagna, and somehow Baramagna got destroyed after all. Makuhiro was the oldest robot and nobody knows much about his past, am I right? How cool would that be? I think I'm gonna suggest that to Lego Company. I think Bionicle was so much cooler reply for like my idea. Okay.
With evil dude.
I'd like to say this is the Lego message boards. Like, that post embodies the Lego message boards. It's like, no, here's something that will totally not make it better. Here's a bit of fan fiction I wrote. Here's a terrible fan creation I created. I'm gonna go submit this to Lego. Like, if you like my idea. That's
Hey,
like,
that sounds a lot
basically
like what
everything.
you're doing, Kahi.
Yeah, the LMB has not changed ever since I've been there. Like, it's as noobish as it was back when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
Okay,
Second.
Bionicle. Hold on. I thought it looked pretty interesting that Bionicle was still active. And then, here's a topic, Ask a Rakshi. Hello, I have organized every Rakshi ever made for your questions. So, they're kinda, eating the table and, the chairs. So please put in your questions quickly. Help, help, help. Oh, the laptop, help! And that is the entire topic. Opening
So
post.
now we know where ass comedies go to die. You fought the
Wow. Let's see, here we go. Second topic, prank call the Hero Factory. Hello and welcome to Prank Call the Hero Factory. Here's my prank call. Me, hello, Hero Factory? Zib, who is this? BTL1234. Okay, what's your problem? Explode is, on a different planet destroying poor innocent non-existent aliens. Who do you want to go? You. I can't fight. Me. What? Chuck Norris destroys him. No.
This.
No.
Um.
Anytime we don't have enough
Yeah.
material for an episode, let's just come here.
You can't.
Well,
Oh.
welcome. The 3 Lego message boards.
Yes. Okay, third topic. Mr. Makuro, read this. Okay. Makuda. The names are so similar. I know it's not remotely possible, but what if they were the same person? Well, here we go. I think that here is what happens. Makuda had 2 kids. One evil who we who we may not know, and one good, Makuro. They fought and Makuro lost, causing the destruction of the Bionicle universe. Makuro Makuro found the new world and made a civilization. When he reached an old age, he found that his evil brother was returning, that he hired evil villains to Fire Lord, Aldous Witch, and Black Phantom to destroy him. So he made a security, the Hero Factory.
Okay, so first off, weren't some of those part of Hero Factory before we became
Yeah.
evil? Second up, I find it hilarious. A lot of fan fiction does this. They're like, oh, so and so had kids. You never stop to think, who did they have kids with? Who in their right
Well,
mind
that's
married Makuda, or like had Makuda babies? Like who did that? Who does that? No one really thinks about it. Like everyone's like, oh, Tahu has 2 kids, and or it's come on, think this
No,
through.
don't worry,
people.
don't worry. Whenever it has to do with Tahu, they just throw Galley in there.
Yeah.
That is true.
Besides, anyway, no. The thing is, this is why I like Ninjago, because they actually do a very good job of addressing that.
The main villain of the series had a kid. His name was Lloyd Garmadon, and he later went on to become probably the main protagonist of the show at this point. And you know what they did? They made his mom a pivotal character.
That's actually kind of nice. You don't really see, like the mom, like Bowser Jr.
Yeah.
And there's Bowser, who's their mom? Really, who's Miss Bowser? Or like, who's Miss Donkey
You
Kong?
wouldn't want to know.
You have Donkey Kong, you have Donkey Kong Jr. Anyhow, I just want to it's just something people, like a lot of kids do, they don't really think about,
Yeah.
Anyhow.
Okay, so the final topic that I'm gonna go over here is a story called Deserted. I'm gonna read chapter 1 of this story.
Not all of it.
No,
Oh, it's short. It's
it's short, yeah. Ricochet fell to the wet, grassy ground. For several seconds, he lay lightheaded, but he soon recovered and stood up to continue the battle. Wow, said the villain, Spinblade. You're a tough little hero, aren't you? Ricochet ignored the compliment and swung his pick at Spinblade. Surprise! Spinblade quickly ducked his head from the attack. Not interested in compliments, are you? Said Spinblade. No, replied Ricochet as he dodged Spinblade's saw. But I am very interested in knocking your socks off.
Because if there's one thing the heroes have, it's socks.
He again swung his pick at the villain, and this time it struck Spinblade's head and cut one of his spikes off. Spinblade suddenly smacked Ricochet aside and ran up a small hill. When Ricochet regained consciousness, he started to wonder where his enemy had gone. Confused, he turned around in circles until he heard a loud whirling sound. Fearfully, he turned in the direction in which the noise was coming from, and about a quarter of a mile away, he saw a spinning tornado weaving a path of destruction across the wet,
You
grassy
gotta be
field.
kidding. No way. You say it. You say it.
Oh, I can't.
The planet Shred and Chuck. The planet Shred and Chuck.
Yes, across the planet.
No.
And that, my
Oh.
friends, marks the end of the Hero Factory forum analysis.
Well,
Well,
I knew it was gonna be bad going in, but
yeah, I didn't expect this.
am I the only one who's kind of annoyed with like I like the word bubble thing they have going on here, but like the tail, I guess I don't know what you'd call it,
Yeah.
pointing to it, how it overlaps and goes inside the bubble, just seems off to me.
Eljay, what do you think of the story of the planet Shred and Chuck?
It's better than Hero Factory.
Wow.
It's still a better ending than Mass Effect 3. No, okay.
Wait, hang on.
Anyway.
In before, better than Greg Farshtey's writing.
Wow.
No,
just
Greg
gonna
writes
get
a
that
lot
in.
You
better
asked
than
me
this.
my thoughts on this.
Just gonna get that in real quickly before Mr. Demi. I don't know what to call you. I'm just gonna call you Stupid Kahi. Gets his word in on that. I know he's going to.
Mm-hmm.
At least it's not as bad as LJ's right. No, okay.
So, Mage, what do you think of the Lego message book?
I already called an in before you asked me on my thoughts, aka I'm not going to talk on this stupid story.
Okay, fine.
That sounds like a very wise statement.
In that case. Next on the news, we have new additions to the Lego movie cast. Kai, you take this because you were actually the one that told me about this.
Alright, so we know that Lego's been doing, this whole Lego the movie thing, which is
Yes.
I don't know what to think about that concept. It's like it seems pretty good, and it also seems pretty bad at the same time. I'll never actually know for sure,
Yeah.
until it honestly comes out. But basically, I will say this: out of all the people Lego could get, they're getting some very high-profile people. The voice, I think, the animated film, voice characters in this animated film. We already had news of several people joining before, and let me just grab this article here. Sorry, I'm browsing through superhero hype. I wasn't gonna say the name of the thing, and I was like, you know what, we're not on BZPower anymore. So yeah, superhero hype, because they're the first ones reported on this, and they're the ones that I used to tell Meso.
Yes.
And sorry, just give me a second. I guess right now the people they've added are, off the top of my head, Morgan Freeman, Liam Neeson, Will Ferrell, and Nick Offerman, as well as Alison Brie. See, not if you watch like Community, you know Alison Brie from her work as Annie on that show. Morgan Freeman, he's Morgan Freeman. I mean, if you haven't heard of Morgan Freeman, that's your problem. Liam Neeson, he's still up there with Morgan Freeman. I guess, I mean, like, if you absolutely don't know who he is, he was recently Ra's al Ghul in The Dark Knight Rises, and he was Qui-Gon Jinn in the popular Star Wars movies.
Yep.
So, that's cool and such. And then you have some other people.
Some other chumps that don't know,
chumps
that can't really follow up to the first.
I
two.
will say it's kind of interesting that Liam Neeson, Morgan Freeman, and like I guess just those two characters are staring in the same movie that Batman is also staring at. So not what's it? I can't believe I forgot his name. Not the guy not Christian Bale, but like the actual Batman is going to be inside the Lego movie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how that's gonna work, but Batman's gonna be inside the Lego movie. So I don't know if they're gonna because Lego is very fond of kind of making fun of itself in its movies.
Yep.
So I mean, I wouldn't put it past them to do some sort of in joke of Morgan Freeman and Liam Neeson.
Oh yeah.
But
yeah.
That's news on this. Right? I guess this movie interests me greatly just because of the concept. I don't know if it's going to be good or it's going to be bad, if it's going to suck or it's going to.
Did they ever announce a title?
It's called
The Power of something, wasn't it?
Yeah. No, I remember they had some working titles.
Lego
like
movie.
The Order of the Brick. No, or of something something of imagination. I don't know. They've taken that name down, so that's not going to be the actual name. all we know is basically the Lego movie. That's all we know at this point.
Well, in that case,
Alongside
Yes.
these story details.
all I can say is TTV coverage, the Lego movie. It's gonna happen. This thing's
Sorry,
too interesting.
It is. It is too interesting.
I care a heck
I
of a
was
lot more about
laughing.
this than I did Clutch Power. So go ahead, man.
I was laughing at the idea of Kahi saying they're casting Batman as a voice actor, as in like
Yeah, I know. I was
actual
like-
Batman.
Well, there is a petition going on in the White House now to make him Secretary of Defense. So you never know.
There's a
By
lot
the
of
way-
petitions
The old
Out there.
title is called Lego: The Piece of Resistance.
What the heck?
Resistance. I guess you always hear it with that Russian accent. Basically, it's from what these plot details say, it's about this Lego dude who's mistaken for a master builder, and he must join some other colorful characters and save the world.
Okay.
Sounds generic, but
Yeah.
we'll see how it goes.
It'd be good, yeah.
Yeah.
Eljay, what do you think about the piece of resistance?
It's ripping off a name for a comic series I'm planning.
Okay.
I swear.
In that case. Let's see. Unveiling the BZPower tracker. This interests me greatly. What the BZPower tracker basically is, I'm not going to read the whole thing. So thankfully Black Six summarized it. The short and sweetest of the tracker is a tool that allows everyone on BZP to point out bugs and make suggestions to improve the site. Discussion can take place for each ticket opened, and based on the feedback, the administration can make an informed decision on what the top priorities are that need to be addressed. It helps you help us help improve the site. And you can start, like, you know, if you actually take a look at the thing, it's a pretty interesting layout they have going on here.
Hey guys, when you go to the old forum, it logs you out and puts. Okay. Yeah, like it's a great idea. I think it's something that definitely should be implemented, but I don't know. Okay, I will note this though. If you go to the tracker to the forum place, you go down to community, you will see 11 issues and 57 replies. There are only 2 topics in all those forums combined. So, obviously, something's kind of being hidden from us.
It's because people are posting the. Well, yeah, obviously, someone's being hidden. They have, like, staff only things.
Yeah. I mean, I guess there's some
Speaking
that
of-
have to be approved, but
Yeah.
So some of these, speaking of staff only things, you know, something I'd like something I'd like this to also do. I want to report something, a bug
A bug.
called the staff letting their political views get in the way of the moderating.
Yep.
yes.
We could talk about this for days if we really wanted to be controversial.
Oh, if we
Debate
wanted to be
corner.
controversial,
See,
controversial, yes.
I would suggest a debate corner, but nobody disagrees with this. in that group.
No,
So,
you know what?
I have no idea.
Yeah, we should ask like a listener who disagrees with our views on the BZPower staff, at least some of them.
No, any of them. I can take them on. Bring it. Any of you guys think disagree with
Showdown
this
right now.
and think that the staff are great? Come on, just
Anyone who likes the BZPower staff, come argue with Kahi. He'll take you off.
yeah, yeah.
This is see listeners, this is why I should be voted better than Kahi, because he does not appreciate you like I do.
We're
You were the
talking
one
about
that brought this up.
Comics, not
You
personal bias
hold
for a
it.
person.
Hold it. You're the one that brought this up. How do you? Okay, you know. If you want to be caught in a web of lies, then be my guest. But
Web of
I'm not
shadows.
lying. I'm just not telling the truth.
Anyway, back on topic. What do you guys think of the tracker?
It's good. It's cool. I don't really have anything to add other than, you know, the word filter needs to be updated. Add more not fonts. Add different skins.
Bring back
Get
Hot
DV
Topic.
out. Yeah, bring back the hot topics. don't take the forums offline for so long when you're doing a simple update. That's a
Yeah.
good one.
That is a good one.
And
What's another one?
and more lenient rules on the blogs.
Yes, I would agree with that. Vlogs should be a bit more on the lenient side, considering. I mean, I guess the big thing for me is that I'm great. Like I'm totally fine with BZPower being like a kid-centric site. That that's what's great about it. That that's what kept it, I guess, sort of alive.
I have
right
no
now,
problem with it, but are there
Yeah.
really any kid?
Yeah, I guess that's the thing. There are not a lot of kids on here anymore. All the kids are interested in the Hero Factory because that's all they see. They don't see Bionicle. Like it's sort of like they're just some old toys that they weren't old enough to play with, and now there's something new to come around. Basically, we just have a lot of older members here. I think it's okay if you let lenient on some kind of things,
Yeah.
considering these things that they have let loose on before. Shouldn't be that surprising if they wanted to do it now, or if
Yeah.
they wanted
Very
to do some
quickly.
other things.
Very quickly, I'm sorry, I did not mean lenient. I meant more strict.
Oh, we got that.
Slip of the tongue.
Hmm.
I want more strict rules on the blogs because they're just a flame. There's just flame wars waiting to happen. I mean, me and
See-
Kahi, we already know some of the debate and turmoil that goes on in the blogs, and I think there either needs to be a tighter leash put on or totally let go.
I'm gonna put it to you this way, and this is all I'm gonna say on the matter, because I didn't really voice my opinions on the whole deal in question, which I'm not gonna, delve too much into.
Of course not.
If you're going to put out the image of trying to be a site where you come to talk about a centralized subject, then don't allow discussion of issues that you know are going to be controversial and incite things. It makes you look like fools. It undermines your whole argument in the first place, some of the rules you have set up. It does no good for anyone, and it does more harm than anything else. If you like want to talk about certain things, don't do it on a site dedicated to Lego, I guess, is really what it all comes down to.
Yeah, I guess like if you, it depends on the image they want to do. If you want to be like, yes, this is it's for kids for Lego. We don't want discussion of any of this stuff.
Yeah.
Then do so. Or if you want to be like, okay, we're all a bit older here. We can all just we can all discuss certain after. Then do so, but don't just go like halfway and just
You
stop.
can't have both.
You can't you can't just be one-sided. I know a lot of people try to bring up the argument that there are absolutely two sides. If you're gonna if you can't hold up the argument, we don't want to create controversy and just hold up one side. It doesn't work like that.
Time to post in Tracker. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, but basically Tracker's cool.
Yeah.
I won't
Tracker's
use it.
a neat idea.
That's cool.
Every now and again, I get a great idea, and I'm glad I have somewhere to send it to.
Yeah.
Because
I got a lot of great ideas too, Kai.
There are two more things to talk about. And I'm gonna
And they are
put...
not great ideas.
No, they're not.
No, they're not.
I'm gonna
Biocraft Chronicles.
I'm gonna flip the order that I intended to talk about these things in. And I'm gonna talk about the Chima Constraction figure first, and we'll leave the best for last.
Okay.
Give me like a couple of seconds and I'm gonna post this picture. But I'll give you some backstory. A long time ago when Chima was just kind of revealed from the leaked retailers' catalogs, people posted descriptions of the sets and were like, hey, there are buildable action figures here. And as pictures began to come out and as more info began to come out, we heard nothing of these supposed figures. And people assumed that based on the small pictures, bad quality, whatever, that they simply mistook some of the vehicles for Constraction figures. And then this picture was unearthed that you can see on the screen right now. That's a Chima teaser image with some kind of lion. I think that's Laval. I need to learn their names. It's
Bert.
Laval or Linnox. And behind him, you can see very
I think
clearly
Lennox.
a Hero Factory lion.
It looks like a Knight's Kingdom set. Like you honestly, I mean, he has a sword, the shield, the sort of animal motif.
Yep.
Reminds me. I guess the thing that really gets to me here is that that lion looks like he's gonna rip someone's head off in the background, and the front, like the minifigure in the foreground, looks like he's some 7-year-old trying to be that lion in the background. Like he's got this like kind of goofy little grin and giant eyes. And he doesn't look anything like that ferocious, hideous monster in the back.
Yep.
I guess that's what I'm trying to get. I mean, maybe to sort of Chima balls transform them into the giant, ferocious monsters. But you know, yeah.
You can clearly see he uses. I would not surprise me if they just reused the Raka lion headpiece for this guy. Then you can see a new decal piece that's like the mane or fur or whatnot. He has the paw pieces and then a shield and sword, and the shield arm has like clawed fingertips. What are your thoughts on this development, Eljay, and the lion? Both lions.
I kind of cannot wait to see, full-fledged photos of these, because we're gonna get a lot of recolored pieces, maybe some matte green if we're lucky.
Maybe.
But I am excited to see these, mostly because Hero Factory is a huge letdown as far as Constraction figures go to me. Cough, cough, the devil. But no, I'm actually really excited to see these.
He's
Also,
gonna
Kahi-
make or break the line for me, but that's just because I'm more of a HF style person.
Yeah, but very quickly to capitalize upon what Kahi said real quick. Kahi, this is probably a better illustration of what this is. The small minifigure is one of your siblings, and the big hideous monstrous beast as you put it in the background, that's you.
Ooh.
You even got the description pretty good there. Good job.
Yes.
I would like to point out. Oh, never mind. I'll point that out at a later date. There's some comebacks you just have to save, guys. Keep a note of that. There's sometimes you just need everybody else around that you can be like,
Deliver
the
Kahi being hopeful.
But no, it's like Chima. They're like hitting this line on all cylinders. They've got a TV show. They've got game sets with cards and ripcords and spinners and motorcycles. They have talking, walking crocodiles with swords 3 times their size. They have animal-shaped vehicles fighting in the land of Chima and HF-style Constraction figures to supplement them. This is one jam-packed line.
If they paid this much attention to Bionicle when it first came out, I'm telling you, it wouldn't have ended up like it did.
I know.
Can you imagine 2001 in a TV show? Can you imagine
Yeah,
that?
I can imagine 2001 in a movie. I'm pretty sure a lot of other people who listen to TTV can too.
Yep. But nah, you were very right. I'm very interested in Chima. My thoughts on the matter are kind of conflicted at this point between liking it and hating it, but I'm definitely gonna give it a chance.
Yeah,
I'm
same.
excited for the TV show. I'll put it that way.
I am too. I want to watch that as soon as it comes out. That's going to be important.
You should
All right.
watch all of the Ninjago TV series before this coming Wednesday. So you could join me and LJ because this coming Wednesday is the finale. So you could join me and LJ and we could actually do a coverage.
There's a lot of shows I've meant to go through. I haven't got completely caught up on Fringe. I haven't got completely caught up on Arrow, Revolution, like all these new shows that keep coming out. I just haven't had the time to catch up on them, but I do want to.
It's not that long
And
of a
You know,
series
that's-
compared to most series. You could catch up on it in a day easy.
You know what other things you haven't
Person
had
of
time to
interest.
catch up on?
I need to catch up on
Making
that.
comics.
Nope, I haven't had time. I would make a mediocre comic, but then I'd be like Eljay, and we don't want that.
I'm busy making quality comics while you slack. Anyway,
Quality. Yes, I would recommend that, but I know that's a lot of time to invest in watching Ninjago. But it's a good series. It gets much better as it goes on.
Also, I sort of have to point out again 2.0 that something I didn't realize last time. LJ noted that my series was last posted in October, but so has the Lazy Life. So I mean, I just want to put that out there. If you're still trying to decide what you want to write in your comment, yeah, there's that.
the only difference is when I last wait. Who was the last poster in my comic
Me.
topic in October?
Meso, one of the 3 people that read it.
I have another way to settle this then. Palo.
Palo.
Mm-hmm. Why does it seem that this episode is centered around the ongoing battle between Mangosteen and Stupidity? I mean...
Wow.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
So it's a self-conflict?
I didn't know
It's like
Kahi was the toe of Mangosteen.
You're funny. You're only siding with him due to your genetics, Palo.
Race issues are irrelevant. I was just making a joke on your intelligence.
So,
Remember
okay.
when LJ said at the beginning about racist comments, or was that erased? Anyhow, just
No,
keep
I-
that in mind too. I'm not
I got it.
Hitler.
The last
is.
post that was not yours was made September 10th. Yours was made a month later,
The last
October 10th,
okay.
Palo, and you didn't even post a comic. You didn't even post a comic.
What'd you post? Well, what is this?
Some new comic-con, not just the site you need, but the site you deserve.
Exactly.
Thing.
I posted up. I posted up a concept of a website that.
Oh yeah,
Would
the
be
website.
nice
I
to have-
remember now. How about that?
Like the comics, not being worked on right now.
In favor
The
of
website
better
is like an
things.
in-universe thing. But yes, I guess technically it's not really a comic, but it has to do with a lot with the actual comic series. Like if this is this is technically what the Wyvern and Lawsuits or Gavaki Enterprises launched after that's what they promoted on Christmas, basically. They promoted the ICC forming and this site. And this site was launched, and I put up, like, you know, what the site would kind of look like on my topic. So, you know, people could have an idea of what was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
I'm gonna rail you guys back in again for the final bit of
Okay.
news. Greg Farshtey answers fan question.
Is this
Or
my
as
shtick?
I like to call it, jumping the Takia Shark 2.0.
So, do I get to read these?
No, we're not gonna read them all on air because there's way too many.
Aw.
But I'm gonna link it in the description if you want to check it out. You read ones that are actually interesting and deserving of being read. I think that's a
okay.
fair compromise.
Yeah, I guess. But...
Ones that are even like
Alright.
remotely interesting or relevant, which I
Alright.
guess is all of them in a way. So just like pick and
I-
choose.
Okay, I got this.
Mhm.
Shall I begin?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay. Regarding the Red Star, by the way, to start off, these are all questions that were answered by Greg Farshtey in a chat, 1 hour and a half chat with BZPower form mentor, Erebus.
Yep.
A lot of questions were not answered because A, he only had an hour and a half, 2, there were follow-up questions. And 3, some of them being saved for next time. And 4, Greg simply does not remember the answer. So beginning. Red Star. Name anyone other than Mavra who is alive in the Red Star. Lee Khan. So there's that. And then basically anyone whose body was not disintegrated. Suno Motoro, Brotherhood members, and nobody who has no body left. So do your own research. Does this mean that there are now 2 Hydraxons alive? Yep. Is there any kind of injury that would bar a being from being revived by the Red Star? Perhaps oh wait, no. Wrong one. Can the Red Star still teleport dead Matoran universe inhabitants to it now that the MU is effectively destroyed? And if not, how is it able to reach the Matoran in canisters in Voyanui and turn them back into Toanika? That was asked by Kahi. Greg Farshtey responded with, it can't teleport right now because the system is broken. As for the Anika, that wasn't teleportation at work, that was electrical discharge. So basically,
what?
we never got an answer.
How does that? Okay, I think I might have worded that wrong. I guess for those who don't really know, I was more like I was asking him how, if the teleportation cannot reach people outside of the Matoran universe, how is it able to reach the Matoran and to turn them into Toa Nika? Because like basically, we had a giant debate before. Basically down to this. To teleport people, the teleportation needs to know where they are, for one thing. And he needs to be able to track the Matoran. And I think Eljay and Messer were saying that it's probable that it would only be able to track inside the Matoran universe. Once you went outside, it couldn't track you anymore. However, they were able to find the Matoran in canisters on Voyanui. And not only that, but it just came to me. Not only that, but Makuta could actually track Madanui once he had discharged him from his body.
He was the former owner of the Matoran universe, of course.
I know, but I'm saying that like they have that technology in order to track people outside of that universe.
Besides, that's Makuta. That is not the Red Star. I'm getting
that's why I said the
this is
technology.
another debate for another time, so we'll continue.
No. Actually, I had a better idea. Rather than reading them all and then talking about it, let's just read one at a time and talk about it.
Gosh darn it. No.
So we'll scale it back just a bit before we get too far ahead. How about Lee Khan being alive?
That's cool.
We already figured as much.
Yeah.
There goes to sacrifice. He sucks.
I still think everyone whines a little bit too much about this, but that's just me. Because in my eyes, as long as they don't actively appear in the story, I don't care. I mean, they don't do anything in the story any longer, so.
I believe that was a terrible plot twist, and I'm glad Bionicle ended before they could bring all these people back, because it's pretty sad. It's really sad.
How about there being double Hydraxons all the way across the sky? And
Hydraxon never meant anything to me, so I don't care.
Hydraxon is like, it doesn't really affect me all too much, but like, it just seems kind of dumb.
There's gonna
honestly.
be that's gonna be one interesting meetup. No,
I know, but like
So,
it just makes
you're
Hydraxon kind of useless. Like, anyhow.
double Hydraxon pit patrol.
this pit isn't big enough for the both of us.
Okay, how about well, we already talked about the Inika. Okay, Eldrick, continue.
Yeah. What I'm getting at, though, is that the Red Star, while it may be able to track Matoran, Toa, etc., outside the Matoran universe, I'm saying it can't teleport them.
Why
Tracking
can't
and
it
teleporting
teleport?
is a completely different.
Right, but why wouldn't it be able to teleport?
I've explained this like millions of times before, but why I think it cannot teleport them when they're dead, outside of the Matoran universe, is because of the Matoran universe. Because I think the Matoran universe acts as an enhancer, and without the enhancement for the teleportation to go into effect, it cannot successfully teleport dead Matoran if they aren't being amplified by the Matoran universe.
So how come they can turn other Like, how come the electrical discharge, quote unquote, works, and not the teleportation?
Extremely different process than teleportation.
Okay, I just
Like I just said, they can track them outside, sure.
yes,
But no teleportation due to the amplification effect I just said.
but
This
I
is
guess like
all.
if
This
they
is all
can,
just my guess.
I know. I mean, I'm not gonna deny it's a pretty good guess. It just seems like why would they put that limit on if they can, if they prove that they can have different objects, discharge or just affect Matoran outside of the Matoran universe. Why not apply that to the main function of the Red Star?
Mm.
Exactly. It makes no sense otherwise. The Red Star is made to teleport them everywhere. Honestly, like if you're designing the Red Star, you make it like if you have the power to make it transform Toa anywhere, you spend a lot of time at first making sure it can achieve its primary purpose before moving on and expanding on to all of these other secondary purposes. The jetpack, turning them into Toa in terms of necessary means, that sort of thing.
Let's move on.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, that's just that. So Velika. This is pretty short. Was Velika in the Kingdom alternate universe also a Great Being? Yep. Meaning he had the ability to turn into a Toa.
You skipped a one.
Yes. Because we were gonna skip them all.
Yeah,
A bunch of them.
but what
But
about
look-
the purpose of the Red Star on the map?
Oh,
People
yeah,
seem
I
to
was
be
gonna read-
loving
I was-
that one.
Sorry, I was gonna read. I was gonna read that actually. I was gonna read two more. Sorry. What was the purpose of the Red Star on the map that Tarduk was following in the web serial? It marked the location of a Great Being facility, in the one in which the Red Star was built. Very interesting, I feel. And then, as well as the fact that he was on Spheris Magna, and okay, this goes in regard to whether or not the Red Star can teleport people on Spheris Magna. A little bit. Okay. The first question was, okay, now what about the mental image of the Red Star that Trenchrome projected right before his death? And he replied with, Trenchrome was killed by a Great Being. The RS image served two purposes. To TK, Trenchrome. It symbolized the Great Beings, and it was a bit of an irony, as a completely organic being, the Red Star could not bring him back. And finally, as well as the fact that he was on Spheris Magna and the RS could not have brought him back anyways, well, we don't know that. The RS is keyed in to Matoran universe inhabitants. Kahi.
Inhabitants. Yeah, they're not going to target Agori.
Yeah.
But
don't
if
know the fact.
Matoran die outside of the MU, then it's just key to the inhabitants. Yeah.
Anyway, we don't know the fact that he was no longer in the MU would have made a difference. Might have made a difference to his being sent back. But the
That's
Red
true.
Star isn't sending anyone back now anyway.
Okay, here's the thing that kind of annoys me a little bit. Is that when Greg says here, we don't know the fact that he's no longer in the MU would have made a difference. Tell us if it would have made a difference. Like, we know you write the story. Okay, it's not like some mystery you're trying to cover for somebody here, or like the story's ongoing something. We know you write it. Either like if you don't want to tell us, say you don't want to tell us. If you haven't thought about it, say I just haven't thought about it. You don't need to go like you're talking about somebody else writing the story and you're just like, well, we don't know because whoever this Mr. Greg Farshtey is, he hasn't said anything. I can't do anything about that. I just go off what I know. I just go off what he said. Hell, just say something. Like, don't pretend that somebody else is writing the story. Anyhow, well, I want to bring attention to something up above. Actually, Botar. Basically the question asks if someone with teleportation powers, like Brutaka or Botar, died, could they escape the Red Star back to the Matoran universe? And Greg said yes. And he also confirmed that Botar was either alive and he just didn't want to come back, or he has been too busy with something else and hasn't been focused on getting back. However, we do know that basically Botar is alive, and not only could he go back anytime he wanted to, he could bring everybody with him, just like that. Boom, instantly.
You had to put in a boom for dramatic effect, didn't you?
Boom.
Like, not only that, but like the fact that, hey, Greg might have just brought back a whole bunch of dead characters actually seems a lot more likely now.
I doubt that's gonna happen, Paolo.
Of course not. He's not writing the story anymore. But
No,
just see
if
how
he
to
was, I
continue.
don't think he would go and bring back like a whole bunch of characters.
Yeah, but this
He
time,
just
if they
did.
die, they're dead for
No,
good.
no, no.
He
No, I
just
don't think
did.
he would bring them back into play. That's what I'm getting at. I know that
But
they're alive,
what's
and
the
I know that they're back
difference?
in the story, but they're not actively doing anything. The only
No, I guess,
alive
like-
character we have actively heard from is Mavra, and no one cares about Mavra.
I know, but like, why bring characters back if you're not going to use them? Obviously, he had something to plan for all these dead characters, and just bringing them all back is not a good decision any way you look at it.
Okay, look, here's my thing. With the Red Star plotline, this was obviously going to be a big plotline. There are two possible outcomes that he could have taken. Only two that I can think of. The Red Star gets destroyed, and everyone inside of it dies permanently. Or the Toa or the Glatorian or whoever, great beings, liberate the inhabitants of the Red Star and get them out of it and back into society.
Here's why I think. I mean, I'm not going to put it. I'm not going to say that first one is not an option. It very well could be, but it's equivalent to them being like, you know, they're going about to fight Makuta, and then suddenly Motoro comes. And he's like, "Boom, guys, I'm back!" And then Makuta steps on him, like he just steps on him, and Makuta dies. Like Motoro dies again, and you're like, "Why did you bring him back just to kill him off?" That seems like. Why would you do that?
Hey, I'm just saying that those are the two possible outcomes. Oh wait,
Yeah,
wait,
but
no,
now
no,
you're
no,
like-
no, no, I forgot there is a third possible
What?
outcome. This was never meant to be a major plot line, and it's meant to be something that's just kind of said in passing. Like, oh
So,
hey,
like-
they're this character is alive up here, and then they never mention it again.
The thing is, I still don't. I'm not until I see a Satori serial where Lacan goes. Now Mavra or Boatu or Kapak. I know we never really met, but I'm here now. Hi, how's it going? Until that happens, I am not really majorly concerned yet. Until Greg Farshtey openly brings back either Lacan or another important dead character, I am not panicking.
I would like to note that the only person he really takes the time to note as being alive is Lee Khan. Like, he
Yes,
doesn't-
and we have not seen him in the story yet.
Yes, but that.
Okay, so anyway,
How much proof? How much more proof will you need? Greg is not going to.
I just said how much more proof I need.
Yeah,
What
but
more
it's-
do you want from me?
I want something that makes sense. It's obviously he was thinking about Lee Khan. Lee Khan is the first thing he thinks of when you say dead character who's alive in Red Star. He's like, oh, Lee Khan.
Anyway,
And some other dead people, but Lee Khan. Like,
Anyway,
he must have
so-
been planning something with that. That has anyhow.
Velika. Was Velika in the Kingdom alternate universe also a great being? Yes. What have White Pterodax and Mazika ever been up to since the MU shut down? Nothing to do with Velika, but it's here anyway. Same as everyone else, surviving and trying to build a new life in a new place. And then finally, any info on what he did before going to the MU? Like what great bean projects he worked on? No.
epic.
At least he's straightforward. I'll give him props for it. He's just like,
So,
he's like,
I
yeah, no.
I want to go ahead and address this. What's happening in Liwa right now? Last we saw, he was being held captive by a bunch of plant armored Agori. Liwa was taken back to their camp, where he discovered that they are basically Luddites who blame the Great Bean's tech for the disaster that befell Bar Magna, which is ironically kind of true. As it turned out, they were fairly awed by his air power, especially since he wasn't using a machine to produce it. Whoo! They still don't fully trust him, but they aren't going to kill him at the moment.
For those who don't know, Luddites were people during the Industrial Revolution that were basically dead set against machines and other sort of things. I guess they're just a colony of Agori or whatever beings they were. Were they Agori? Yes, there's Agori here. They're basically Agori that despised all technology, and they were also plant armored Agori. So they're
Amish
basically
Agori.
they're basically the Amish hippie Agori of.
And I tried to kill Lee Wan.
Yep.
Greg, I like the way how you portray them as the I mean, I won't add that one up.
I'm not editing.
Anyway. So, what happened to the Shadowed One? Last we saw him, he had disappeared with vials after killing Ancient. Oh, wait. No, he actually did kill Ancient. He didn't go to Red Star. TSO is on his first Magna, forming a new army around the remnants of the Dark Hunter and the scum of his new world. They are all deep in cover until the moment is right to strike.
That actually is a very good plot point. I'd like to see that happen. The Dark Hunters in the Shadowed One gathering
All the
in
Skrull
Fierce
and the
Magna.
Skakdi.
Maybe,
Because those
that
guys
would
are
be
such
kinda interesting.
competent fighters, as we saw in the
I know.
Legendary Pie.
I will say, but isn't Ancient like basically on the Red Star, anyways?
No,
Why not?
he got disintegrated. No body.
Did he get disintegrated?
Yes, he got disintegrated! Think I'd forget something like that?
Yes.
The Shadowed One uses disintegration beams. That's how Zactan ended up a bunch of bugs. That's what he also used on Ancient. If you don't have a body, you're not up to the Red Star.
So, okay, I guess like with disintegration beams, are they like Dark Side's disintegration beams? Or are they like Cyclops disintegration laser eye beams?
No body!
Like-
He is dead! Moving on! Did he use the viruses on himself, or is it just a secret weapon? It's a secret weapon. How did Zactan survive Pterodax's attack prior to his fusion with the other beings? Bottom line, he's just weird.
So in summary, Massive Clairvoyance, you can't use it at will. It shows you stuff that isn't clear, and the result it gives you a total bullcrap. Because nobody died on that expedition.
Anyway.
It's basically useless.
And then it goes on. Someone goes on to ask, "Can you tell us why he became prototypes?" And you can read that yourself. And it just goes on to say he's weird again. And then similar to how Vakama was able to see the future, or just a random fluke. And this question boggles me. Oh, maybe random, or maybe not. Might have been intentional in his creation. Okay,
So
it's nice.
I guess here's the sort of thing. If you're creating a mutant, you're like, all right, on the off chance that this guy happens to meet this other guy, and then the off chance that he kind of pisses him off, that he shoots him with eye beams, we're gonna make this dude like not be disintegrated in eye beams. Like on the off chance that these two people on totally different parts of the island meet, and one decides to kill him, he won't be dead. That's obviously what we're going to spend time and effort designing him for.
Yep.
So, and then there's a question about the Nuva Cube, not getting into that. Has Vezon gained total control over the Olmec since it has been fused to him? I wouldn't say total, but a lot. And then last question here, and answer. This I actually asked this one. What is the nature of Toa spirit stars inside and outside of the Matone universe? Toa Mata spirit stars are outside the MU, but the Metru spirit stars are inside. And Greg replied with, the inside ones I feel are pretty easy. I always felt they were some sort of electrical impulse from Matt Nui's system. As far as the outside ones go, I would think there would have to be some connection to the Red Star, since it was connected to his system at least peripherally.
But what's their purpose? Okay, I can kind of get like inside the Matone universe. Like you send off, you send off signals being like, hey, so and so, this thing has been completed. So if people are keeping track, or if maybe Artaka or whatever, they could use that as a signal, write it down. I don't see the point of having one outside that view. Like,
Future
Ew.
storyline info.
Yeah,
Maybe.
Spirit Stars, by the purpose, they're basically to track the movement of Attila and show that Attila is alive.
Yep.
So like the Hunger Games thing.
Yes.
And they're like tributes who have died.
Yes.
Except it's different.
I'm actually reading the Hunger Games series finally. I know I'm late to the party. I finished
Good,
Catching Fire today.
I'm just
How
not
is
gonna be
that?
part of the party at all.
Have you read it?
I've heard Catching Fire isn't that great. I read the first one. I haven't read the others. So
Me personally,
I-
I liked it more than the first one.
I've heard that
Oh, but-
Catching Fire isn't pretty great either. It hurts and can kill you.
Wow.
Saw that
Wow.
coming a mile away, LJ.
I will say though, Meso, you said you liked Batman Begins more than The Dark Knight.
I do. To
so-
this day, Batman Begins is my favorite out of the trilogy. The Dark Knight is my least favorite.
Messenac, ladies and
Oh.
gentlemen. This is the guy that posted LJ's topic regularly.
What? You tie it all back.
Let me introduce the guy who posts in Kahi's topic regularly. No one.
Am I worse than no one, audience? You decide.
Come on, everyone.
Leave a comment. Nah, we already know the answer.
I know. This one will decide it. Which one of us thought up Biocraft Chronicles?
Which one of us is doing anything now for Biocraft Chronicles?
Me. Anyway, so that's yeah, we'll link the topic in the description. You can read everything we did not,
Yes.
and there'll be more soon.
Hopefully.
We don't know if he's gonna post any more soon, and if he has more, why didn't he? And what does he mean by next time? Next time he talks.
He's trying to milk it for all it's worth. This is like BSO1 and their podcast. Yeah, okay. This is a bit of insight into Erebus's mindset here. When they revealed the Red Star revelations, they turned it into promotion for their podcast. And they did all they could possibly do to get people to listen to their podcast rather than just read the topic. And I hope it worked out for them.
Me too,
It did.
because we do Makuta Fest with them.
I'll be honest, I didn't listen to the podcast. I'm sorry, Erebus. I failed you. But
He's gonna hear this and never play Halo with us again.
yep. Anyway, that
Nope,
pretty much
never.
that pretty much wraps it up for the news. So, move on to our final segment now, the Comic Maker Spotlight. You're good to go, LJ.
Hello and welcome to the Comic Maker Spotlight. Today we're going to be looking over another comic series. I'm getting tired of this. Today we're going to be looking over the Spriteful Life by Tehurye. Background on Tehurye. Time of this recording, his avatar is supposed to be some Halo related thing. I've seen it before, but I don't really know what it's supposed to be. It's like a circle with eyes. At this point, he has 157 posts and has joined recently, not even a year. So let's look into this comic series. See if we can milk it for all it's worth.
Yes.
Which isn't
Oh,
very
wait.
Oh my
much.
gosh.
Oh,
Why?
no. No.
I hope you just picked this out of the random and you had not seen what was in this before.
Actually read the comic and you'll see where he's going with this.
Wait, which comic? Which one?
Doesn't matter.
The comic,
first
the
one?
comic, because I'll assume that's what they're looking at, and they're like, "Oh, it's a white
Tehurye.
background with text. Oh, this is so bad." And I'm like, "Actually, read the comic."
Yeah,
No,
if you
no,
actually.
I have read it, but I guess I was looking at the latest comic, and here's what I see: Comic Sans, generic wood background, that god awful yellow framing thing that Dark Soul 9 used for like 2 years, and then finally switched, thankfully.
I knew this was a bad idea. I knew this was a bad idea.
Eljay, review it. Go.
Okay. So we're gonna look over the most recent 3 comics, which would be Getting Down to Work, New Guy, and Happy Birthday, Phoenix Fire!
Yeah, I think it'd be a good idea to briefly explain the premise of the series so it actually makes sense to people.
Okay, premise of the series, beginning. Tehurye, the author, is new to comic making, along with his character, adopted brother, real adopted brother of some sort. And so, what he would like to do is ask people for advice. And so he does. What we end up with is a comic series with a blue wall, which is basically just photo bucket and paint. And then a very large floor. I'm stuttering. Dang it.
Yes, you are.
So we see a large wood floor, which is actually very bright and contrasts the wall, which is kind of interesting. I would suggest a different wall color, kind of not so contrasting to the floor, to make it a little bit easier on the eyes. We see in comic technically 2, but listed as 3, that they play the Xbox, and they're playing Halo 3.
Hmm.
And I found this
Very
to
good
be
point.
actually very interesting because I've never seen this before. I've seen a lot of people use TVs for like movies and stuff. In fact, around the time Web of Shadows was coming out, I saw this comic series one time that had a TV and it was playing Web of Shadows, and it's actually real funny. But it never switched the picture. This is actually interesting because the pictures actively do switch to what's going on in the game.
It is
Which
very
I-
nice. Yes.
Yes. Now,
Yes.
as for the objects they're using, it is from a pretty well-known accessory kit, so, nothing different there. But what strikes me funny is the usage of kit mixing. Something Kahi hates with the intensity of his soul. Well, what's left of it. But, no, I don't know. I kind of like the way he pays attention to detail. Not very fond of that floor, though. I think it was enlarged, and as a test, it's successful, but he should probably change it, as well as the wall. Probably make it a different color, more like a white. But yeah.
I will say this. The kit mixing, I generally dislike it, in a lot of multiple areas, but it's not as harsh if the two styles are somewhat similar. With Tomorrow Omega and Razor, you have block colors and a black outline. It's still kind of jarring, but it's not too much. It doesn't bother me as much as, it would otherwise. I will admit, the one thing, like the telltale sign that this guy, he wants to do something and he's capable of doing something is the text. Not necessarily font or whatever, but it's all done it's all done correctly. Basically, it has capitalization, it has punctuation, everything's spelled correctly, or as correctly as you can get because you don't have spell checker and paint. But it's still very well done. The humor isn't necessarily all too new, but it's not all too generic either. It's it's trying to find its own niche, and since it's a new series, I can get behind that. My first reaction was based just on the graphics alone. I think that this this author, his real problem is that he doesn't really know what to do for graphics. You can tell by like the stuff he's using. They're all templates. They're all pieces from the sprite kit, that furniture kit that someone made. I forget his name honestly, a while ago. But he could possibly do something good. He just needs a little bit more training in something other than paint. Honestly, generally,
Yes.
I used to be against paint, and I'm not so much anymore. But I feel like what he's aiming for can be done in game. He's not aiming for something to be done in paint. It's just the only thing he knows how to use. So I would suggest honestly getting some either tutoring or some tutorials on game. Me and Ben have that endless tutorial which we have been working on for I don't know how long now, and we used to have a lot of stuff done with it, and I don't know if we'll ever get done now. But basically, GIMP isn't too hard to learn. It does have a lot of tools, but don't be too intimidated by it. If you are listening right now, that's probably the best advice I can get you. Stop using other people's templates and find what you want to do yourself. It's going to be kind of an interesting road on the way, but I can tell from what you're doing now that you want to do something good, and you can do something good.
Yeah. Although, I just want to point out something real quickly, and this doesn't really have to do with the comics per se. Is it just me, or is Saran trying to worm his way into probably every single comic series on this forum?
Yeah, he's trying to be.
He's going to end up kissing the feet of literally the bottom page of every single topic page in this entire form and beyond for years.
The comics forum needs better people to look up to. It's sort of, well, it's for another day. But it's like what I was talking before in our giant comic maker, TTV. What's it?
Tea time with TTV.
Tea time with TTV. The whole of the comics. I think the continuity rule has to do a lot with this here, in which there's not a lot of good people to look up to. Soran is probably the person that sticks around the most and talks to people the most. Unfortunately enough, and that's more of our fault than anything else, since we basically let him do that.
No, you've let him do that. I've been making comics.
You haven't been posting anywhere. That's why no one takes any attention to you.
Well, it wouldn't matter because my
Everyone
banner.
hates you?
No, that. But my banner is
That. Yeah.
It's not really of my comics.
Anyway, comics. Yes. Spriteful life.
Anyhow.
Let's go with the pros. What are the pros of this series?
Pros of this series, for I guess a quote unquote new series, the writing is very well done. It's easier to read in a lot of other series. He shows a lot of promise with what he's doing. He just needs to find his niche.
Okay.
Can I give my opinions?
Con. Oh, wait.
Real quick and pros. I just ever since I started reading this, I don't know. I don't know why I like it so much, but I like the tone. I like how he's handling, telling the story of the comics per comic. I like how he's obviously, competent enough to run a series just because of the way he can present it, and because he can make these graphics be entertaining with the dialogue and the story between the characters and whatnot. He just needs to improve in the visuals and he'll be good to go. I find it entertaining, humorous, and pretty engaging, and I'm not really sure why I like it so much, but I do. So you have a fan in me. What's your name?
It's Tehurye.
Tehurye. You have a fan in me, Tehurye.
And Saran, but I wouldn't count Saran very much because he's a fan of everyone. In his own.
And when you're a fan of everyone, you're a fan of no one.
Wow.
So, unfortunately, it has to happen. What are the negatives?
Yes, there are negatives.
Well,
Yes.
I can't really say. Unlike a lot of people that we review here, I honestly do see like this guy really, like he can do something. Like he's fully capable of doing it. He just doesn't know how to yet because he's he's kind of new to this. All the negatives I give, he'll probably work out on his own. But I guess it'll set him on a path kind of sooner. Mostly, I would try to decide what kind of series you want to do. Mixing up the kits, doing all this kind of stuff, trying to do a bit of everything, really. Trying to find what you want. That's great, but you need to find that and start sticking with that as soon as possible. If you want to be like a more high definition series, then go high definition. Make 6K Chima sheets, make pattern backgrounds, grains, word bubbles, that sort of thing. If you don't want to stick a bit retro, then go. I guess kind of go completely retro. The style you're going for now, I wouldn't recommend sticking with because it just has this negative connotation around the form.
Yeah.
The whole thing of especially Comic Sans for text, the yellow border around the comics, it's not something I'd advise doing. All the stuff you have is kind of taken from different comic series, different comic things. You would be best trying to build your own thing and work off of that.
Yeah.
I can't emphasize that enough. You can't ride on the coattails of somebody else because whoever you're riding the coattails of will always be better than you. You need to start doing something, different on your own. And I have, out of everybody that done this, where I had the most confidence in this guy that he can improve. I'll say this, this guy has what it takes to become a great comic author. He just needs to learn some of the methods. So, yeah, graphics are pretty much the only thing I would say you have to work on. And really work on those. There's not, that's about it.
Yeah. I do kind of have to agree with you. Like, as much as I like them, there is definitely improvement that needs to happen. But I don't really have anything unique to add in the negatives department. I just want to, I really want to encourage this guy to keep making comics because I think
Yes.
there's potential. But definitely there are ways to improve, and I
Definitely.
should do those. So.
It's a combination of all these things.
There are
that will
always
make it.
ways to improve, and I think this guy can learn from them.
Yes. Mange, are you alive anymore?
Yes, and I've been adding random comments in between all of this.
Add some more random comments.
Okay. Well, the writing is definitely a plus. That definitely is a saving grace from most comics of this sprite quality. However, what I think it has a lot of potential if template backgrounds and sprites were ditched somewhere, and let's see, and the sprite placement was somewhat better. Like in the Phoenix one, he walks away and somehow he moves up enough that all the presents fall. He walks straight into the place where the presents fall down onto him. It's not exactly in the straight line you expected him to walk in. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yes, improve quality, ditch templates, place sprites better.
Yeah. That pretty much is a good summary. Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good. Well, in that case, this is the Comic Maker Spotlight, and I hope you are listening to Tehurye.
Yes, listening to Tehurye.
No, listening
Oh,
to Tehurye.
I see. Yes.
Gosh, miss.
I'm your biggest fan. That's why I never post. A yuck.
Right.
Anyway. Well, this has been a pretty good episode of TTV. At first, I thought it was going to start off pretty dull, but a lot of stuff happened. Good
like
work.
Well,
insulting
the first
Kahi.
try was pretty dull.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's figure out a word so that we can know if people have been listening to the episode. Let's try. Let's try operator.
Sounds good.
Or how's about standing by with live operators?
What the heck?
You know how they always. Oh wait, no, sorry. Standing by with dead operators. You know how they always say, live operators are standing by. What about the dead ones? They never say dead operators are standing by.
Sounds good to me.
I wonder why they never say that. I wonder why. What
Yeah,
possible reason
stand-
could they have to say dead operators are not standing by?
Yeah, so just
I have no idea.
TTV episode 48. Dead operators standing by.
so say that in the comments along with who you think is better, you know, me or Kahi. And
Obviously,
yeah.
YouTube is like the best place to decide this on. The YouTube commenters
Yeah.
are one of the most
you know what?
informative and
Have a small
I'm just
war.
saying.
Have a small confrontation. As they say in France. I wouldn't know.
Confrontation.
Hey, wait. I just realized we have French listeners. I shouldn't have said that. But you know what? I'm French too. So you know what? I can insult myself. I'm French too. If you don't believe me, well, that's your problem.
I think this letter on my head stands for France.
Wait, what now? What was that?
If anyone has read The Ultimates, you'll get that. Type that in comments. I've read The Ultimates. This letter does not stand for France. Anyhow, thanks for joining us for
Yes.
TTV.
Yes, thanks. Please
Like,
be sure to
comment,
comment,
subscribe,
rate.
favorite.
Rate.
Ah.
Rate.
Why can't you rate and share at the same time, Kyle?
You can't.
Post in the comments what you thought.
You literally cannot rate and share
Yeah, you can.
anymore.
Viewers, please post in the comments. How would you rate this episode on a scale of 1 to 5?
Well, 1 to 5. Let's up the ante. Let's go 1 to 6.
Ooh, 1 out of
Right.
6. You know what? Let's up the ante even more. How would you rate us on a scale of mangosteen? Yummy, or yum? Yeah, you know what? Screw that.
Sounds a bit
Just
subjective.
just do what you want.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. Thank you for listening. I'm Messek.
I'm Eljay.
I'm Kahi.
And I'm Tenebrae Invictus.
And this was TTV episode 48. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.